We've had some requests this week, ladies and gentlemen. Some ladies who did the moonwalk for breast cancer charities, who are big Dustin Hoffman fans, asked me if I could ask Dustin to say hello to all the ladies watching who did the moonwalk. Would you do that first, Mr. Hoffman?
Hello, female moonwalkers.
That's it. Eric, we've had an email here for Eric asking whether you would look into the camera and say hello to Deirdre Murphy. She's a huge fan of yours and apparently would make her day. Hello. And Hugh, there's one for you as well. Could you please say hello to Stephen? Apparently you don't call as much as you used to.
Hello, Stephen. I'll be home around 10.
Hold on, I'm hearing we have a medical emergency here. Is there a fake American doctor in the house? If there is, let's get him out here. Will you please welcome Hugh Laurie?
Welcome to the house of fun. Now I come of age. Welcome to the house of fun. Welcome to the lion's den. Temptations on its way. Welcome to the house of fun.
Hugh Laurie. Thank you. Bearded and hunky for your viewing pleasure. Hey, congratulations on the huge success of House. I mean, it's a massive hit, isn't it?
Thank you. I don't know about massive. Enormous, perhaps. Immense. No, it is. It's done awfully well. I'm very
It's
proud.
not got quite the same impact here yet, has it? Because I know it hasn't. It was shown on Channel 5. I think
it was shown on Channel 5, and now it's moved to Sky. Sky 1.
Sky One.
And hooray!
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I'm a latecomer to it. I didn't see the early ones.
Why? Why would that be?
I don't know. You know what? I don't know. I wasn't sure whether I'd care for it, and I didn't want to see you make a big tit of yourself if you were rubbish in it.
Yes.
But you didn't. You're great.
Very similar. In fact, more so.
Were you concerned, really, when you took it off?
Of course. Except that you have the if it doesn't work, it never gets that far.
Yeah.
That's really the one advantage. If you do a pilot and nobody likes it, it never gets seen.
I tell you what I love about the show is there's always an unusual medical problem at the heart of the show.
That is pretty much it.
Pretty much there's always an unusual. I mean, there's lots more to it, an unusual. And I like to sort of guess along at home and see whether I can get it right, and to see whether I can diagnose these patients correctly.
That's phenomenal. Good on you.
Would you like to know how many times I've got it right?
Yes, I would.
Not once.
Really?
I don't think anyone could possibly get it right, could they?
It's pretty obscure stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, we have had, on several occasions, we have had stories where the writer has actually got a hold of some medical thing and has called up very brilliant doctors with very big heads and said, is this possible? Could this happen? And he's talking to a doctor who actually says, I'm going to have to look that up. I've never even heard of it. Yeah. I'll call you back. They are that weird, some of these things.
That's what makes it so much fun. And I was curious as to whether or not, when you're doing it, whether you have actually learned much, whether you could now, if someone came to you with a certain set of ailments and you could look at the condition and diagnose correctly.
I'd give it a go.
But in real life, do you feel at all like
well, no,
an amateur?
I've got to, you see, having a brain the size of a walnut, I can actually only remember things for about 20 minutes. So when I'm doing the scene, I understand this stuff for about 20 minutes, but beyond that, it's gone. I can't retain anything.
Which is probably useful, though, I would have thought, because unless you're actually going to study
in
properly.
life, it actually is rather useful.
Yeah. And in acting, I would have thought as well.
Acting, less so if you're on stage, for example, because you've got to relearn Othello every night. But
you could make some bits up.
Yes, who's going to know? Yes, I suppose so. Yes, you've got to sort of. You've got to clear the old stuff off the shelf before you move on to
Do you miss acting on stage? Do you miss doing live work like that? Because I guess this contract ties you up for pretty much most of the year. I know you get a bit of film work in between.
There's not much. Well, I don't miss plays. I've only done one play.
Which one was that?
I did a play called Gasping by Ben Elton.
I remember.
Ran at the Haymarket Theatre for. I did it for about 5 months. And I thought I was going to go out of my mind. Actually, no, wait a minute. I did go out of my mind. I just doing the same thing 8 times a week, saying the same words, standing in the same spot. I wanted to put a gun in my mouth.
So it's not something that you feel is missing from your life right now?
I couldn't do it again. Okay. I actually started to have out-of-body experiences. It was really very frightening.
While on stage?
Yeah. I would sort of leave my body and float around the upper circle and sit next to people and eat their crisps, and it was really strange.
Have a little chat?
Yeah.
But that's a weird thing. Genuinely, you did feel like you were looking in on yourself?
Yes.
That must have been
It's
worrying.
horrible. It's actually very frightening. I really did think I was losing my
And did you seek help for that, or did you just work through it?
I just seek help. I didn't see, that never even occurred to me that I could seek help.
You didn't
What's
occur
the
to
matter with me? Oh, it's too late now, of course. I should have
gone now.
sought help, shouldn't I?
Yeah, but you
no, I
should
just thought this is what stage actors do. This is something you just have to go through. This is.
That's not normal.
It isn't normal.
No, it's not normal.
Well, it can't be normal. There was a bloke who was in Cats, beginning to end, 16 years, doing the same part as a cat. I mean, Othello's one thing, but as a cat, wow, and the whiskers every night like that.
Where's he now? You bet he lives with an old lady somewhere, doesn't he?
Yes.
Lots of newspapers stacked up everywhere. Hey, what now? Before we have a look at a clip from House, this is the new series. This is series 5, and I think it's already started on Sky One.
Right. Yes.
And there's already some great plot lines, and there's a great kind of big story arc as well, involving. I get the feeling there maybe we're going to see a bit more of his human side, a bit more of the emotions that lurk under the surface.
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, the character's really based on originally it was based on Sherlock Holmes. He is supposedly, you know, one half of his brain very highly developed and the other half much, much less.
So in that way that some people aren't connected to their emotions, but...
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Oh. Who are you thinking of? I'm thinking of a couple of people. Never mind. But as the thing unfolds, we do get to glimpse a little more of his, what emotional workings he has.
This is going to sound like a silly question, but he has a limp.
He does have a limp.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
And which leg is the limp on?
It's in his right leg.
Do you ever forget which leg is meant to be the limpy leg?
No.
It was a silly question.
Well, it didn't exactly fly, did it? I wasn't able to come up with my famous right leg anecdote, where I do the voices and everything. No, I don't forget that. Partly because I sort of, in my head, I make it hurt. It does hurt.
You actually make it hurt?
I do. It does hurt.
Do you ever put something in your shoe to physically make it hurt?
No, that would be just a cheap trick. No, I actually just sort of, to me, it hurts when I'm doing it.
It's one of the biggest hits on American television. Deserves to be an even bigger hit here than it is already. Have a look at this. Hugh Laurie in the award-winning, hugely successful House, as House. What's going on with the beard, Hugh? Because you don't have the full beard as House. You have a kind of lived-in look.
I have a lived-in look,
But now you've got what appears to be very much is going on to becoming like an Amish person.
It's just something I wanted. Yeah, I just wanted to try. I grew it because it was there. It's a mask of manliness. I just wanted to try it.
We have, I think, the beard wearer extraordinaire.
I know. When I realised that
what were you thinking?
Le Beard was going to be here, I felt a little bit nervous.
Le Beard said on the maison.
We don't happen to have a beard off. I don't even know how that would go.
Wouldn't it be awful if we stood together closely for a photograph later on and you two got stuck together like Velcro?
Well, that's always bad, isn't it? Under any beard or no beard. Yeah.
Now, am I right in thinking your father was actually a doctor? He was a GP.
A doctor, yes.
And so, does that help you playing House? You draw upon that way, or was it so far removed that it isn't even a factor?
It helps in as much as I have a huge amount of respect for the profession of medicine, reverence almost for people who study, who work hard, who empiricists who examine things and come up with theories as to why the world is, why the human body is the way it is, and who don't latch on to easy things, but actually work hard to find out the truth. I have a great deal of respect for that. And that, yes, that probably did help. I mean, I came to it with a feeling, it's a pro-science show, it's a pro-reason show, and I came to it with that.
Very timely comments, of course, this week. Are you, did he have his
I don't know what that means.
Well, there's a big
is
thing
there an
going on.
anti-reason?
No, Stephen's just signed a big petition speaking out against certain... Fry,
yes. No, I didn't hear about this.
You didn't know about that?
I didn't hear about this.
It's been all over Twitter.
Has it?
You're not a Twitter person?
I'm not a Twitter person, Jonathan, no. I'm more of a shh person. I've subscribed to this shh network where you write something down but don't send it anywhere. Because I'm all for silence. I'm all for silence.
Where you live, you finally committed to living in America for this series, haven't you?
I'm there for 9 or 10 months, so yes, I did eventually buy a house in America and I go back and forth. yeah, so the family are going back and forth all the time.
And are the family going to move and stay out there with you, or are they still going to caravan?
Well, no, probably not, because they're in school here and on university here, and they're all got friends and relationships and playing bands and.
But this must be quite tough on you, I would have thought.
It is. It is. It's a very weird. It's a bit like an oil rig, except I've never been to an oil rig, so why would I say that? I've got no idea what an oil rig is like.
Although I bet you'd see a lot of men with beards on an oil rig, so you could convincingly tell your family that's actually what you're doing.
Yes. Yes. But why would I do that again?
I don't know. And do you, I don't know if it's in your contract, but presumably you have to keep in pretty good shape. You're doing a show, it all rests on you to a large extent. You're the...
I have to be whipcord taut at all times.
Supple.
Yeah.
What regimen do you follow to keep in good shape?
I box.
Ah.
I box.
But box against other people or just...
Small children, ideally, up to about 8, but no more than that. Well, no, I'm actually not allowed to go. I'm not allowed to spar. I did spar. I started sparring a bit, and I turned up for work one Monday morning with a black eye and a fat lip, and it didn't go down very well.
I imagine it didn't.
I'm sure there's some small print in the or probably even pretty big print, actually.
What about biking, though? Because I know you love your motorcycles.
I
Over
do.
Here, you were somewhat, not addicted, but it was a big pleasure for you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you allowed to ride your bikes when you're
Well, I just didn't ask the question. So I did it, and then I've been doing it for 5 years now, and after a point, there's not much they can do about it. When they realise that actually the show is doing quite well, and they would rather that I didn't fall off and break a leg, by then it's too late, because I've been doing it for...
do you miss doing comedy, Hugh? The broader stuff?
Putting
all the
on
kind
funny
of,
wigs.
and voices,
Yeah, funny voices. Well, I'm sort of doing a funny voice, but...
Well, the accent's very good. I mean, that's one of the things that sells it to people, I think.
You're very kind.
Well, do a Scottish accent like that for a whole show is pretty tough. Yeah. I mean, I'm impressed, because you're not Scottish, are you?
No, I'm not.
It's good.
Yeah, that was good. I like that. Yeah.
Let me ask you, do you miss Stephen Fry when you were there working? Because your partnership, it was more than just a kind of convenient on-screen partnership. This was a deep and true friendship. Deep and true friendship.
We're very, very close and continue to be. So, no, I see him all the time. I saw him yesterday, and I'll see him tomorrow, and we email. We don't twit. We don't twit each other. Yeah. But we do everything else, letters.
Do you actually write letters?
No, actually, I can't. That's simply untrue. But also, he's it's a fantastic thing, but he's actually playing a role in a show called Bones, which actually films 50 yards away from where we make house. So when he's over there, he stays in my house, and we go to work together and sit and eat cheese sandwiches together. We don't do that either. It's all lobster over there.
But it's rather lovely. That's a lovely...
It is a lovely thing.
We're
we sit there in the gorgeous Californian sunshine and reflect on our amazing good fortune, and don't think that we take it for granted for 1 second, because we don't. We're very, very... It is an amazing thing, and we're both, I think, very appreciative of it.
Would it be weird for him to appear in house? Would that be, do you think, strange for a British audience, or would it be strange for you working...
He did threaten that he would sort of wangle his way and, come on as a man with 2 limps. And we had this idea, actually, at one time, that because the character is based on Sherlock Holmes, and Sherlock Holmes had the clever, which is such a brilliant idea, that the cleverest man in the world has a cleverer older brother, Mycroft, and we thought that there could actually be a sort of equivalent of Mycroft, that when House gets absolutely flummoxed by a 3-pipe problem, he has to go to his older brother to finally get the solution.
That would be fantastic.
It could happen one day.
Can I just mention the fact that we should convey our congratulations and happy birthday wishes to the youthful-looking and heavily bearded Hugh Laurie, because he's approaching a landmark birthday next Thursday, I believe.
It is next Thursday. I will be 50 years old.
50 years old. Still fit as a butcher's dog.
Really?
50.
Honestly, it was nothing.
Still alive.
It was nothing.
And I believe we thought, okay, I wanted to get you a present. I wanted to get you a special present, okay? And so I looked into it and I asked around to find out what you would really love. And I know you play the piano.
Right.
And I've been informed that you've always had your heart set on a Steinway grand piano.
Yes.
Okay. So over here we have, if we can wheel this in here, okay? And I know it's extravagant, and I know it's a little bit crazy, but for you, Hugh, we have a baby version of the Steinway piano. you can. There you go. And, yeah. And a little chair to go with it. Let's see if that... Go on.
That's beautiful.
It's that. Carry on the little thing. That's yours to keep. No one goes home empty-handed.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hugh Laurie. Thank you, Hugh.
I don't know what to say. I'm taking a stool.
It's okay. It's yours to keep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Birthday boy.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Thank you, sir.
Will you remind me later? I need the receipt for that for expenses. There's Mr. Hugh Laurie, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Hugh.